So, guys, what's going on? It's time for episode number 3 from Aries Nutrition. Today, I have the owner of Apollon Gym and Apollon Nutrition, Rob. Rob's actually a very good friend of mine. I wanted to bring him in because I wanted for him to give you a background on where he's from, how he worked hard to get to where he is. He is the what you would call the American dream when you're an immigrant and you come to America and you build your own dream. So he's the definition of that. And also I wanted to highlight the brand Apollon Nutrition, because Apollon Nutrition in general is, in my opinion, it's probably going to be 2020 top brand.
Thank you.
For sure. It was already a top brand. I haven't seen really many companies who continue to upgrade formulas for the better. They usually go backwards to save money so they can mass produce it and sell it to more and so forth. So again, this is Rob, and so I'm gonna first, like I said, I want everybody to know who Rob is, and I kind of want to go with his history myself, and then I kind of go in. So Rob, just tell us about you, man. When you were a kid, where you grew up, where you're from, and just kind of like what brought you to where you are now, man.
Thank you, Patrick. And first of all, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it. I appreciate our friendship. And it seems like it's only getting better and better and better for both of us. I grew up in Ukraine. I was born in Ukraine, and I left at the age of 13. I moved to Israel. Mm-hmm. Back then, it was still Soviet Union, so most of Ukrainian, Russian Jews would immigrate either to the United States or to Israel. I lived in Israel for a couple of years, and then circumstantial, I had to move to South Africa and lived there for a number of years, I believe 6 years. And then in '97.
Now, when you were moving around, were you moving around by yourself, or was it with your whole
No,
family?
with my parents. My parents. We moved to Israel with my parents and my grandmother, and then to South Africa. My stepdad, who was a jeweler, got a job in South Africa, which he couldn't turn down. It was a very good offer, and we moved to South Africa in '92, I believe. And then I think '97, I made a decision to move to the United States, and I lived here ever since.
Okay, so when you moved down here, did you move by yourself? Or
No, I moved also with my parents. They didn't really want to move. Neither did I, actually, to be honest. In '96, I visited the United States, but already at that age, I was 21. I had a pretty good job. I had a good career in South Africa, and I had zero aspirations to move. However, when I came here, I saw that there are a lot of opportunities. To be honest, I didn't even like, because I came to visit my family in Brooklyn, and I just wasn't a fan. And but again, I saw a lot of opportunities. I saw that this is something, a place where I could have a future, and I thought that it was no-brainer that I had to move. So I came back to South Africa. I told my parents my intentions, and I'm an only child, so they just agreed to move with me. So we moved all together.
That's a big move.
Yeah, it was a move. It was a big move. It was very challenging because, not to discredit anyone or no disrespect meant whatsoever, but most of the Russian immigrants that came to United States did not speak English, didn't have any education in terms of other than Soviet education, so to speak. I already had a marketing and business management degree.
For those, when Rob says Soviet education, so that's basically when the government is communist, you're taught what they want you to be taught.
I mean, pretty much, yeah. I mean, so the thing is I graduated in South Africa with marketing and business management degree. I already spoke English, and I came here, so it was slightly different than knowing English, starting from scratch. But nevertheless, I did start from scratch. Actually, my first job was in construction, getting paid $4 an hour. And then I struggled for a couple of years before I finally got a green card. I think it took me a good 5 years.
Mm-hmm. You came on a visa, of course, right?
Believe it or not, I actually came on a tourist visa.
Really?
I came on a tourist visa, and I stayed here. And I was lucky again because I had a lot of family here, and one of my mother's cousins, he owned an import-export company, and he dealt a lot with Israeli companies as well. He brought goods from Israel, so it made sense, since I speak Hebrew, that he could give me basically a sponsorship But back then, you had to wait for a very long time to get actually, to get legalized in the country.
Yeah.
So it took a couple of years.
I know. I know when I came, it was I was already. It was almost like 9, 10 years old. But my situation was my mom was by herself. She married my stepdad. He brought us over.
Oh, okay.
So when he brought us over, they got married. So then it was my green card was given to her and me. And when I first started working, I was getting like $7 and change.
And
Working
we
over-
didn't complain. We were happy.
No, I was. I mean, when I got my first job, I was just happy to get a job because my parents didn't have any money. They worked really hard. So if I wanted something, like I couldn't even play sports in school because my mom didn't drive, and my stepdad was like, "Look, man, I got to work. I can't take you to play
Yeah.
sports." So, but he could take me to go to work. So I was working nonstop.
I think that you coming from Poland and me coming, I don't even know where I came from now.
Because you're all over the place.
But the thing is I think we value what we gotten in life so far because we literally worked for it. So I think that we have a slightly different attitude towards success, because literally our success is earned.
Yeah, I know when I was growing up, and even as I went back to visit, there, in Poland, especially around, because I came in the early '90s, like close to mid '90s. It was literally around the time when we finally kind of got democracy, but there really wasn't work. So when we talk about opportunity in America, when I talk about opportunity in America, the opportunity was we can actually work. Like that's the opportunity.
Yeah.
It's not like we show up in America and here's cash and gold and everything. It was we can get a job because we couldn't get a job.
Well, and
where we were
also
at.
I think that us coming where we come from, we were used to all the American success stories, the
Correct.
movies and stuff like that. So we knew that you have to work for it, you have to succeed, and I think it kind of like prepares you in comparison to life over there. Not to be overly political, but when I see people are trying to get into the whole socialism and stuff like that, I look at it like, people, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Correct.
We experience that. That's no fun. When you are limited, when a doctor makes the same money as a janitor, maybe slightly more, it's a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah.
You want opportunities not only for yourself, but you as a father, you want what's best for your children.
Correct.
And if you tell them to go study and go to college, and you work hard to be able to finance it and to provide for them, I mean, you want to make sure that they succeed and they make something out of their lives. The potential should be unlimited. And I think that that's the reason why we appreciate the American dream and we appreciate this, this way of life, because you can literally get anything really if you really put your mind to it.
No, it's true. Like I lived in a village. My family lived in a village, but like during that time, all I knew was, okay, you're gonna work, but it wasn't like here's extra levels you can get up to and make this. It was kind of like you're gonna work, you're gonna pay your bills, you're gonna get married, have kids, and that's kind of the end.
Yeah.
While here, it's the more you put in, the more opportunities are there for you. Like no matter what it is, there's tons of opportunities. You just literally have to move forward. And and the thing is, like, we were always like, we came from a place where things were always against us.
Yeah.
So we were kind of used to being either put down or just you're not going to make it or this and that. Because I remember when I came over, like I remember when I came over, I didn't speak English. I was cross-eyed. I didn't know anybody. My step family was kind of like, oh my God, why is he here? Everybody else in school used to pick on me. And then it was always the Polish people are dumb, right? So I used to get that all the time. So I used to be like, all right, man, cool. I'll just, I'll show you. And I had honors classes, show them that. And it was always kind of like, hey, you're not meant to do good. You're not meant to do this. And it was like a fuel. Like,
I think that fuel, and I see it present, especially in our generation and those that came from Eastern Europe, and I guess from third world countries. I see that fuel. The new generation, the younger, they slightly different. They not made from the same cloth that we are. But the thing is that we had that fire, and the more you tell me I can't, the more pissed off I'll get, and the more I
I
will
would do it,
try
yeah.
to make a point that yes, I can. And I think that that's a secret to success, is that we don't stop. We don't stop. It's not even just about money, because everybody wants to make money. Everybody wants to get rich. Everybody wants to have a good car, a good house, a nice bank account. But I really think that there are certain people, and I think myself and you included, that it's not just about money. It's also about proving a point that you can, through hard work, through dedication, through, not sitting on your ass, but actually going out there and getting what you want to get, and working hard. I think that that's exactly what inspires us, even more so than just money.
Right.
You can't be driven, because if you're driven just by money, I mean, you can go and just start shooting and robbing people and you'll make money. It can't be just about money. Success comes also from your inner desire
Correct.
to succeed, to actually prove a point that yes, I can.
Yeah.
And like you said, if somebody said that polished people are stupid and they don't succeed, I mean, we know it's bullshit, because there are plenty of polished, very, very successful people that proves otherwise. So the thing is like that stereotype, I think that some people are offended by it. I'm not. It doesn't offend me. It fuels me. It doesn't piss me off or anything like that. Let them talk.
Yeah, and I learned very quickly that the individuals who always try to put others down, stereotype them, or so forth, whatever negativity or hate they're throwing at them, those individuals suck. Like their shit ain't going right. Their life's not going right. They're not happy. They don't want you to succeed. Have you ever had anybody that's successful put you down? I've never in my whole entire life.
Because they preoccupied with the own thing. They don't give a shit.
If anything, what they're doing is they're giving advice on how to move forward. The people who are behind, who are keeping themselves behind, are the ones who are trying to force others by putting negativity and so forth to push them backwards. But I've never had anybody who was successful.
Well, the thing is that you get that hate. I don't know, you can call it jealousy, envy, hate, whatever the word is, it doesn't really matter, because you know what it means. But you have it when you're growing up as a child, maybe you have better shoes, I don't know, better something. You have that when you're in school. If you have better grades, then somebody will hate on you, obviously. If you have a better looking girl, somebody will hate on you. If you have a better car, somebody will hate on you. If you're more successful and you look like you have money, somebody will hate you. That hate doesn't stop. The thing is that what I learned is that hate is probably an indication of your success.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter when somebody hates you. Like, that's the reason why, like, once upon a time, maybe if somebody said something on social media, it would piss me off and I would get into a pissing contest. Now I'm almost like, if I don't get anything negative on social media,
right, yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck am I doing wrong?
Right.
Something is off, because they're not hating on me much. So right now I really don't mind. And the truth is like, if there is a problem with an individual, again, because we come from old school, we come from Eastern Europe, we grew up slightly different. I'm just like, if you and I have a problem, rather than going on social media and saying like, Patrick, you're an asshole, and then you returning a favor by saying the same, now we have an audience enjoying themselves while we look like two clowns. I'd rather confront you in person and say like, Patrick, do you have a problem with me? And you know what? Maybe we can squash it, maybe we can't. But it's just, it's old school that I still believe in. And this spectacle on social media that people are doing right now, how many times you've seen people who in person, they say how much they love you, and then behind your back you hear like, okay, Patrick, he's an asshole, he's this, he's that. And you're like, what the fuck? But you can confront those people on social media, because once it's on social media, and I tell people like, be very, very careful what you put out, because it's your reputation. Your kids are reading it as well. Their friends are reading this stuff. Once it's out there, that's it. You don't want to look like a bully. You don't want to look like an asshole. You don't want to look like a hater. But if somebody says something negative about it, let it go. Let it go. If it absolutely needs to be addressed, there is face-to-face confrontation. There is also phone calls. There is private messages. You can do it. So sometimes I think these, public spectacles are created for publicity, because you cannot generate it any other way.
No, I agree, and that's just it's again, fuel, guys. Fuel. Use it as fuel. Successful people will never want you to fail. They're going to help you. The ones who aren't doing well or don't want you to succeed, will tell you how whatever idea you have is wrong. They'll tell you what's wrong with it instead of giving you different options on how to make it even better or how to move forward with it. So we'll go back to when you first arrived to America. You were working construction. Your family was here to help you out. What went from there? Because I know you're a lot into mixed martial arts, especially kickboxing. You have the gym, you have the brand. Where did it move from Rob's doing construction to everything else after that?
The thing is that once I moved to New Jersey and once I had a green card, I got married. I always was into fitness. I always was into training and working out, and I'm a geek. I'm a complete nerd. So I like to read a lot about diets and training and supplementation. It was always my hobby, something on the side that I did from the age of 18, 19. I was always fascinated by it, and I started helping just a few people with giving advice when somebody asked me about training, about nutrition. I was always a fan of bodybuilding and martial arts, so I always watched that, always followed that. In fact, I didn't even have any money. I came here in '97 and '98. Mr. Olympia was in New York. Yeah. And that was the first year that Ronnie won. I was in the audience.
Oh, wow.
The ticket cost more than I was making a week. And ever since then, I've been to actually pretty much every Mr. Olympia. I think I skipped maybe 3 or 4 at the most. Other than that, I was there for each of Ronnie's win, most of Jay's. So I was there. I maybe skipped 2 of Phil's, and that's it. So I was always fascinated by that. And then, to make some extra money, I started working as a personal trainer in the gym once I moved here to New Jersey. And then I was pretty much at that gym. It was a gym for ladies only. So I had a lot of clients. I think I had 40 clients at one time, but I was barely making any money. The gym was getting pretty much all of it.
Oh, you worked through the gym? So
through the gym, yeah. I worked for the gym basically as the trainer. And then it just, by a chance, I came to Apollon Gym, and the previous owner of the gym told me that I can train people there if I want. So I talked to a couple of women from the ladies only gym. I said, even though Apollon is kind of a hardcore gym, we're going to be one-on-one, and that's it. So I remember maybe 7, 10 women agreed. And from 7 or 10 or whatever the number was, I was making more money than working for the gym.
Yeah.
And I was obviously flexible. I was paying only about $125, I think, in rent. And that's it. So everything was pretty much going to me, to my pocket. And I actually built a quite good reputation. I started also helping some of the local athletes. Also started to judge NPC shows.
Okay.
And even went to promote a couple of NPC shows. And then when opportunity came, Apollon Gym was for sale. It was really failing business back then. I just jumped on it. Like I said, it's just the dream of owning a gym, even though I didn't even get into the specifics that it was losing money. I borrowed money from everywhere I could. I didn't even have a full amount, so I just had to put a little down payment. I had to pay, I remember, I think $4,500 a month for 2 years to pay it off. And so I was making no money. I worked there pretty much from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Yeah.
Couldn't afford no help. And kind of started building step by step. I stopped with the NPC judging, and I had my differences with the back then the chairman as well. So I decided, it's plus judging the show every Saturday, being there the whole day. When I have to run a gym, I had to concentrate on rebuilding the gym. So that's how it started. The gym started to be more popular. Everything that I was making, I was putting back in the gym to make sure the equipment was better, the upholstery was on point, because everything was torn when I purchased it. We didn't even have AC the first year. And
that definitely makes it hardcore.
Yeah, that was tough, we didn't have an AC. That was pretty bad. And then I think as the years went by, the gym started to be more and more popular. People would recognize it. You would wear a Apollon Gym t-shirt and can go to Arizona and people would see whoa, Apollon Gym.
Yeah.
So we had every hardcore top 10 gym list, we were on that list.
Nice.
So, all the pros would come and train at the gym. It was a very solid reputation. And then in 2015, there was a decision was made to start, making our own products. because we sell a lot of protein shakes, pre-workouts and stuff like that. So we thought that the prices keep climbing, and there was demand for quality, especially with the type of people that go to Apollon. They want only the best. You have a lot of athletes, bodybuilding, powerlifting, fighters, whatnot. So we started with that. I think the rest is history. I mean, we'll get into it. In terms of fighting, I used to box, actually. That's what I did initially. I was a teenager. I mean, when I boxed, it was still in Israel, and then I think that at the age
Now, did you have to go through did you have to go through the army in Israel? Or
No, I actually left Israel when I was still 16, I believe. So I didn't end up going to the army in Israel.
Because I believe everybody has to go to the army.
Everybody at the age of 18 has to go to the army. It's mandatory.
So I'm going to give you my opinion. If in here in America, this is my opinion, what I think would help a lot. When you finish high school, you have three choices. Okay, you can either go to college,
Or go to the army.
number two, go to the army, or number three, you have some kind of trade school you're going into, either like police, nursing, hospital, fireman, something like that. So that way, when you're done with high school, it's not just like you're done. You're actually going into one of the routes that's going to be beneficial
And
not
build
just
your
for
character as
yes,
well.
not just for you, but for
I totally agree with it, because that's the way that actually they used to do. I believe in Israel too, but I know they definitely did that in Soviet Union, where you had to go to the army, or you better have a good reason why you're not going, like you're going to a university or something like that.
Yeah, when I turned 18, I got a letter in Europe, because I still have my citizenship for Poland. So I got a letter where I had to report for the army.
Yeah.
So I had to get paperwork to show that I'm living in America, or I would have been basically would have got put on a list that I.
No.
With
I mean,
AWOL and
I think that's the way to go, because, like I said, it's not just about the army. It's about the youngsters, the kids today. You have guys in the early 20s who lack respect, who lack discipline, who lack all that. We kind of like build that character through the hardships that we had in life. But those guys, especially the ones who have everything handed to them, they definitely lack that. And I was lucky in Israel, even though I left way before the army, but I was actually in a boxing club that helped me a lot, because before I started boxing, which was I think 13, something like that, I was pretty bad. I was pretty bad in school. I mean,
You were like a hooligan, huh?
I was like, yeah.
That's just pre-workout. For those who don't know.
that was it was just I was a good student. Like I always had good grades. But in terms of my behavior and how I behaved in school, like my mom was in school pretty much, I would say, if not on a regular, well, at least weekly. They would call her, she would have to come to school, and it was always a fight. So I enrolled in boxing, and the boxing coach in Israel was actually this old Russian guy who was from a Soviet school, of boxing.
Yeah.
So we were not allowed to fight outside. The discipline was like through the roof. They were making sure, like, basically we were giving only one opportunity. If we get to fight in school, or we hurt somebody or something like that, we out of the club. So it was very, very strict. And because of the beating that I would get on a daily basis, that kind of changed my mind about fighting. So I was like not into it at all. Like, it was only strictly in the club, and that's it. And he was very strict about it, even though I ended up getting kicked anyway. I was kicked out at the age of 16, because we had a tournament in Israel that, our team against some other team, and I ended up not showing up. I had a girlfriend at the time.
Oh, so you skipped out on that
So
one.
I skipped on that one. By the time I returned back to the club, he told me, he says, "You're no longer welcome here." So that was the end of boxing. And for the next...
See, that women always ruin
That's
people's
women,
lives.
I still don't take responsibility for that. And it took me actually about 20 years, to get back to it. I would hit the bag here and there. I would do like simple stuff. I took a couple of classes here and there, but nothing serious. And then at the age of 36, I have a very good friend who is a great Muay Thai trainer, and he also refs a lot of fights for UFC, for Bellator, Denmark Liotta, and he's one of my closest friends. So we talked. I was like, I would like to come probably like train with you a little bit. And I started going to the school. He would teach people at Hansel Gracie's, which is one of the best schools in New Jersey and New York. And I would go there. He would hold pads for me. And I remember the first day I showed up, I told him that I used to box like years and years ago. So I remember he was holding pads for me, and he's a straight shooter. So he goes to me, okay, like I want you to like throw a combination. I throw a combination. He looks at me. He says, "You boxed?" I was like, "Yeah, you suck." I was like, "Oh fuck, you don't have to be that honest." And then I kept coming again and again and again. And I remember like within a year or so, I asked for a fight. And the funny thing is like I never kickboxed. I couldn't kick. I never did Muay Thai. I've never done anything. I just like Van Damme movies, but that's it.
You're definitely a big Van Damme
I'm a
fan.
huge Van Damme fan. But I started kicking, I started stretching, I started like picking up a little bit, had my first fight, lost my first fight, said that I will never do it again because, that was hard. And then decided, what, again, I'm stubborn. That actually ended up giving me that extra fuel and everything else. So I said, what, where are the best kickboxers and Muay Thai fighters? In Holland and in Thailand. So I got on a plane, went to Holland, went to Thailand.
And you were married at that time, right?
I was married at the time.
And you're like, hey, listen, I'm going to go
I just
fight
like,
for a little bit. For
I was like,
a couple months.
what? I just want to do it because I just felt like such a failure, And I started training here with the best coach, who also told me that I suck, and I wanted to prove a point. So and after that, I had a couple of fights, and I won, and I actually did pretty good, and I still train. My last fight was about 2-3 years ago. I was, I think, 42 at the time, and it was a title stadium fight in Thailand that I won. So it's very, very important to me because, if I'm not mistaken, I was the oldest one who ever got into that ring. And I beat a Thai, so that was a monumental success for me.
Yeah.
I still train. I still enjoy it very, very much. I'm thinking that in the near future, probably to open my own Muay Thai school actually as well. But parallel to that was Apollon Nutrition was happening because Apollon Nutrition started in 2015, and we would sell only at the gym. Only a couple of protein flavors, a pre-workout. And it just, people started coming to Apollon because the gym was, we only had like 400 members. That's it. I mean, for a hardcore gym, it's not bad, but it's nothing crazy.
Yeah.
People were still intimidated by Apollon. And now I think we're, if I'm not mistaken, 1,800. I think we're at about 1,800 membership, and I think that's a huge part of it is Apollon Nutrition. People love the product. People would stop by. They would see that the gym is not as bad, it's not as intimidating as they think. They would catch a workout, we would give them a free pass, and they would, sign me up.
Yeah.
And I think that's how everything started. But to take Apollon Nutrition seriously as its own brand, because in 2015 it was actually just Apollon Gym. It wasn't even a registered company. It was operating under Apollon Gym. I think that it started to be its own brand maybe 3 years ago. And we started selling online, and we started selling to only a few stores. We didn't even have sales reps. We didn't have anything. And then it just kind of evolved into what it is today.
Well, it's definitely insane when it comes to ingredients, because this market is saturated. Like, it's completely saturated. Every Joe Schmo has a supplement line. Every pro is coming out with a supplement line, but there's never any real knowledge to learn about the ingredients. So for those when they actually know what they're reading, when they read the label, man, it speaks wonders. Like, I know every time I speak about the product in the store, it's like it's just amazing to have a label where there's no gaps, when the ingredients are exactly dosed to the max, which you normally don't see. Because, guys, when you normally go to supplement stores, even corporate, so forth, the keywords they use, this is great, it works really well, you're gonna feel it big time. Cool. But what about the ingredients? Well, it has the ingredients in there. Okay. And then if they don't mention the amounts, like, okay, it has, like, let's just say aminos, right? Yes, it has the BCAAs in there, the ones you need. Okay, cool. It's a 2-to-1 ratio. You're gonna love it. Cool, but 2-to-1 ratio what? 2.25 and 1.5. I'm sorry, 2.5, 2.5 and 1.25 and 1.25, or actually 5 and 2.5 and 2.5. So to be able to, speak to it, it's amazing. Like, it's really like you're in each category, and whenever I touch base a category, I literally work it up from you, and then and then downwards, and it's like premium, or do you want good, or do you want okay, like.
Well, you see, the thing is that number one, and I think that you are unique in this field because, and you're easy to work with. For me personally, I still visit your store on a regular basis. I stop by, we became friends, but it's easy because the thing is that I don't have to sell you anything. I don't have to sell you anything. You know exactly what you're going to expect from me. You know exactly what you're going to get from me, and on top of it being a competitive bodybuilder, you know what you want. So the products that we make for you. That was the whole thing. It's like you said, the market is extremely saturated. It's beyond saturated. I'm not complaining though. The reason why I'm not complaining because I saw Rich Gaspari actually gave an interview to, I believe, Generation Iron, where he said the market is very saturated. Agree 100%. But I'm not worried about it. Like, the reason why I'm not worried about it because we started 2015, 2016, we sold more. 2017, more than 16. 18, more than, and so on and so on and so on. And right now, we have a global pandemic, and I know for a fact that 20 is gonna absolutely spank 19. And it just shows that there is demand for what we do. Yes, our products are not cheap, but they also not cheap to manufacture. I'm not trying to compete with, I would say I'm not trying to compete with anyone. And I'm not going to say, what everybody says, I'm the best on the market, blah, blah, blah. I always say that I'm the best in our category. And I can back it up by our labels. I can back up by the products that we make. And I know I can get your backing and those that know actually products.
Yeah.
I know that what we do, I don't even know if I want to use premium, because there are a few premium brands out there that really I have utmost respect for. To be honest with you, I mean, there are a few companies that I really, really respect, and I think they do a phenomenal job, whether it's with flavoring or the formulas. Great, but every time I just recently, one company came up with a pre-workout that you and I talked about today, behind the scenes. We
don't want to get
we don't want to get into it. I don't want to offend anyone or say anything bad, but actually I'm paying a compliment right now, honestly, because the company is a premium company, and the product that they released, I saw it's a premium product, and I actually said it's actually very nice formula. But not just the current Hooligan, but the Hooligan that we're releasing literally in a week or so, I compared the label, and they're not comparable, and it's not like just black and white, where it's like, oh, we are better than them. We are not better than them. I mean, I think that saying that we are better than them is just criticizing them, but I don't think I have the right to criticize them. I criticize only proprietary blends. Like, for me, if you put a product in a proprietary blend, if you put a proprietary blend formula, you are dishonest. And a few people argued with me about it, that they just protecting the formula and whatnot. You just stop, because it's not going to
help. That's BS. Because if you're protecting the formula, I can take that blend that you made and make my own formula and max out each of those ingredients.
Well, right now there is one very, very much hyped pre-workout that is coming out soon, and people behind it are actually considered reputable. Actually, I don't know if they're reputable. They known, not reputable. They known. And I looked at the pre-workout, beautiful label. I mean, again, beautiful, arguably, because it depends. Maybe it's beautiful for me. It pops. Yeah, it pops. Maybe it's not beautiful for you. So it's a nice label. In my opinion, it's a very nice label. I looked at the formula because I like to check out, not the competition, it's just pure curiosity. I'm a very curious person. And I look at it, and it's a prop blend of some kind of a matrix and I think there was like 6 or 7 gram in that prop blend. But in that prop blend, you have creatine, you have beta-alanine, you have citrulline, and you have another like 5 or 6 ingredients. So any way you do the math,
It does not add
it
up.
doesn't add up to a good product. It just doesn't add up. It just cannot be good. So when I look at what we do, we make products specifically for the athletes. For the athletes, whether not specifically just bodybuilders,
Just
because-
athletes in general.
Just athletes in general. That's the reason why we have like 4 or 5 different pre-workouts right now, and I'm actually working on another one right now. Why? Not because we can, and none of my pre-workouts compete against each other. They completely different. We have a pre-workout for fighters, we have a pre-workout for bodybuilders, we have a pre-workout for powerlifters, like because they all have different needs.
Yeah.
You cannot have the best king or I don't know what else general of pre-workouts. It just doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. You're talking out of your ass. It just
It's the categories.
it's a category.
How great something is within a
So
category.
I always said, like, in what we do in a category, I don't know, because hooligan is so popular. If you take hooligan, for example, and you say, like, well, what is it? Well, hooligan is pump, and it has pump through the roof. It has focus, and the new one is actually heavy focus driven, and it has what else? And it has energy, like energy for days. Because right now there's always been, we've been criticized. When we released the first hooligan, we had 450 milligram of caffeine, which was unheard of. It was absolutely unheard of. Right now, it's a very, very common thing. All of a sudden, studies confirm that the whole vasoconstriction and caffeine is bad for you. It's bullshit. It's an absolute bullshit. So that's the reason why I'm not saying that everybody, again, and this is the reason why I said there are different things for different folks. If you want to have a pre-workout if it's an energy provider, because at the end of the day, Americans are drinking a lot of coffee. Other than coffee, they have like Bang Energy and this and that.
Nonstop,
Each of those energy drinks has like 250, 300, some 350 milligram of caffeine. So you want to tell me if you take a pre-workout that has 200 milligram of caffeine and you have a full work day and you're tired and exhausted, in terms of energy, you think it's going to do anything for you? No. I mean, it's not going to provide that much in terms of energy. That's why, and again, it's my personal belief, if you have anything less than 250 or 200 milligram of caffeine in your pre-workout, you might as well make it a non-stim.
Yeah.
That's just the way I look at it. We have high caffeine dose, but again, on average, it's 400, 450, and then on the back end, I think I was, if not the first, I was among the first ones to employ dicaffeine malate,
Yes.
which gives you that extra kick at the end.
Yeah.
So you look at it like, oh shit, this is 600 milligram of caffeine. It's not.
It's not up front.
It's not up front. Up front, you have a kick, and then you have a prolonged activity. Because I'm not a big fan of theanine. Anything like I'm not. Some people are using in pre-workouts GABA and theanine. I was always like, maybe does something. In my opinion, why would you put a sleeping aid in a pre-workout? I don't get it.
Yeah.
I think that caffeine malate and maybe theanine is going to prolong the activity, and it's going to kind of ease you out of it. So instead of putting 300, 400, 500 milligram of caffeine and then possibly crashing, you have that nice and easy decline, and it's going to prolong your energy for a much longer period of time. So, and caffeine, we both know, is actually not the enemy, and now I think more people come to a realization. So 400 or 450 milligram of caffeine is actually becoming very, very common, and I think the popularity of hooligan comes down to the fact that it's not just the caffeine.
No, and
it's a lot more than that.
And the thing is, the general consumer judges a stim pre-workout just by the caffeine, and it's only because they're not familiar with other stimulant ingredients and how they interact and how they actually help. So they'll see 300 caffeine, but like, well, that's not strong enough. Well, we don't know what else is in there until you really look into it. I had a great example. There was a cut, because whenever I explain hooligan to customers, I'm like, look, dude, it's fucking raw power in a can. Like, it's literally raw power in a can. So I had a guy who came in. He trains at he likes training at hardcore gyms, but he's budget friendly, so he kind of buys in the supermarket type stuff. He's like, dude, it's not working. I'm like, look, man, you got to invest in this. You got to invest in this. He was very skeptical. He bought the Hooligan, came back a week later. He's like, because I told him, I was like, look, you got to take it before you walk in the gym. Don't take it anytime earlier. Take it before you walk in the gym. So he came in. He's like, look, dude, you weren't lying. He's like, I decided to take it before my car ride, which was 20 minutes. He's like, within 5 minutes of the car ride, I wanted to hit 100 miles per hour and smash through every car. I was like, yeah, it's that raw power. It's that drive. And then he finishes off, there was no crash. I just felt like that the whole time. He's like, I was done my workout and I was still lifting the same way I was in the beginning. And I explained to him, I was like, that's what it is. But it was, when somebody uses something that actually works, it's like they're in shock. It's like they just found gold. Imagine buying fake gold all your life, and then you finally get real, and you're like, holy shit, what was I been doing the whole time? So, but yeah, Hooligan's no joke.
Well, here's a perfect example. So a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago, I was visiting my friend TJ from Fitness Deal News, and I was at his house, and we had a conversation, and he goes to me, and he's very intelligent, and he goes to me, what's the most important, supplement? And I was like, oh shit, protein, creatine, I don't know, I mean, those are like staple.
Yeah.
He goes to me, and at first I was, I'm not sure if I agree with him, but I actually now do. He said pre-workout. I'm like, pre-workout is not a necessity. He goes to me, it's not. He says, but think about it, like in terms of protein, even if you don't have a protein shake, you can get protein from other sources, from food sources. So it's not something like it's a must, because if you have the food sources, you don't really need protein because it's a supplement to supplement your food.
Correct.
But if you have food, even post-workout, as much as you and I, we sell protein, so it's important for us to sell. But the reality is, it's not a must. It's a convenient thing because you can have it after the workout.
And nobody's drinking egg whites after the damn workout.
Exactly. So, but the pre-workout, and he explained very well, average person has a 9-to-5 job. They lift most of the time. They go to the gym at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. You need to wake the fuck up.
Yeah.
You need that kick. You need that something to push you. And I think that pre-workout does have its place, especially a good pre-workout. So it might be actually, if not the most important, but one of the most important components of a successful workout, because if you're tired and you're dragging all day, to go and give you a maximum at the gym is not very easy. It's actually very challenging. But at the same time, yes, there is market also for non-stim pre-workouts, because if you lift at 9 or 10 p.m., probably taking something like Hooligan is not going to be a really wise decision.
Yeah.
So I think that there is a market for everything out there, but in terms of what we make, is we make products specifically for athletes that demand nothing but the best. We make products for those, even a regular Joe. There are some people who actually want, what, I don't want this product for $20. I don't want this. I can afford the best. I want to get the best, and and I want to make sure that my product is fully dosed, and it's properly dosed. It's actually based on some research, not just a bunch of trademarked ingredients. My friend, the supplement engineer Robert Chinetsky, recently had a whole thing about those fancy ingredients like Glucovantage and S7 and all that. They fancy, they cool, but they have almost no scientific or really clinical trials or anything like that where it's actually proven, because those studies take a lot of money. So it's all anecdotal because we don't even know if those things work. But we know how citrulline works. We know how beta-alanine works. We know how caffeine works. The basics, and they still work. Nevertheless, like you said, I'm trying to change the formulas of pre-workout and fat burners definitely every year. Why? Because something else is coming out, and there is no limit to perfection. There is no limit, I never see satisfaction. I think that we can always, the new Hooligan didn't even arrive yet. I already have a formula in my head for the next one. I already see where I can improve on what we just did, and I will. There is almost, zero chance that I will not release a new version in 21, because you can always improve. Just like you're improving with your store, and you're bringing new products. You painted the wall, and you're improving the store inside and out, just to make sure that you stay unique, that you're not trying to be GNC, you're not trying to be Vitamin Shop, you're trying to be the best Aris Nutrition. So is Vitamin Shop or GNC better than yours? Well, they're bigger, but the rest is subjective. A lot of people will not visit those stores and not interested in products that they carry. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. Vitamin Shop is a great place to shop, but you have your own following, and you're building on that following. And not only that, if you betray those followers, if you betray your customers because you're not going to carry some good products because they're costing you a little bit more money, then guess what? Well, I have this product that I paid $10 for, and I'm charging you $40 for it. You can fool people. You can fool people, but only for so long.
Only for so long, yeah.
Sooner or later, they're gonna catch up with it and gonna say like, okay, you know what? I mean, what the fuck are you doing?
Correct.
So I think that's the reason why this works, because we stay in our own lane. You're not trying to be mainstream. Neither do I. I get asked the question, like, are you going to release a Hooligan Light? What the fuck is Hooligan Light?
Yeah, it's take a 1/4 scoop and you're
Hooligan Light, I'm going to lose respect from my actual customers because I'm trying to get new customers in a new market that, to be honest with you, I'm not very familiar with. That's not my cup of tea. That's not what I do. It's the same thing as going from a Muay Thai fight when you can, use elbows and knees to the head and stuff like that, and all of a sudden you're doing point karate.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with point karate. It's just like, I don't know how to touch people. I either hit you or I don't.
Yeah.
So I'm staying in my own lane. You staying in your own lane, and I think that lane can expand and grow.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to have places like mine that are true to the ingredients, is because as we keep going deeper into supplements and everything, the industry keeps expanding, the idea of the actual real knowledge is getting less and less. Every review online is trash. Like,
yeah,
everybody tries to depend on reviews online. Listen, reviews online are trash. You don't know who the person is writing it. You don't know what they're driven through. You don't know what they've used in their whole life. Nothing. It's complete trash. People trying to break it down is a mess. A lot of these sponsored athletes, look, they're getting paid. I mean, if you're getting paid by a company, are you going to say anything else other than what the company's paying you?
You know what? It's right on the money, because the thing is like two examples. So one example, when we just came out, those were my bad days when I used to argue with people. So we posted about our protein, how it's like fully transparent and yield amount and what it has and blah, blah, blah. So some of those who actually follow us and like us and support us and know about our products started posting very, very positive things. I mean, you can't really post nothing negative if you know what you're talking about. So they were posting, there was like very nice comments. There was one lady, and I remember it specifically, she made a comment. Herbalife is the best protein. I'm like, okay, now I'm offended. And it's not because I have anything against Herbalife. I have nothing against them. I don't give a shit about them, even though it's a huge company. But the problem is like, I'm exactly the opposite of Herbalife. So I was like, okay, let me have a look. So I looked it up, and apparently she is, somehow she was affiliated. It was a while ago.
Right, Herbalife with protein.
But it pissed me off.
This many ingredients, half of them you can't even pronounce their chemicals. The other part is like 15 grams of protein, if that.
Yeah,
it's
so
only got like half a servings.
I actually didn't want to come out rude, but I couldn't like let it go. So I commented, I asked her a question. I said, what makes Herbalife, I said, better than Apollon? I said, like, can you explain to me? She goes again, this is the best product on the market. Like, once again, can you explain to me the difference? And it's like literally on public forum. So she couldn't, and she blocked me. The thing,
wow, what a surprise.
She goes, and you know what? I mean, obviously she's somehow affiliated. I don't know who she was. I mean, again, it was a while ago. But in terms of athletes, and this is
what you're talking about. If you're gonna like,
I had an athlete who didn't know the difference between cluster dextrin and dextrose. So, and that's an athlete that represents. So you're paying for cluster dextrin top dollar because it's an extremely expensive carbohydrate. But then the athlete thinks that it's the same as dextrose that cost absolutely nothing. So when you sell, again, I hate that word, premium brand, it's a problem. It's a problem because you're getting paid, and you're paying an athlete. And again, there's nothing wrong with getting paid, because like, listen, we all have to make a living. But at the end of the day, if I'm paying you X amount of dollars And now you're going on social media and you're saying, well, this product, even though you know what the fuck you're talking about, but you're saying this product is the best product on the market. Great. Now the contract is done. We decided not to continue. Either you decided to go with somebody else because somebody offered you money, or I decided to not to continue with you for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
So you go to another company. Guess what? You're saying this is the best brand on the market. And now you're representing somebody else. So then you're going on to a next company, and so on and so on and so on. So you have your followers and you have your dedicated fans or whatever. They're not stupid. They admire you for your look or maybe fighting ability or whatever athlete you are, but they're not stupid and they're gonna see it. You know, just recently there was an athlete who, you know, signed with another company, and he's been with numerous companies up until now, and there were comments on his post that I was shown where it's literally people called him out saying like, what are you going to say, that this company is now the best on the market?
And last year was this one?
And last one, you know
and
what?
2 years before that, it was another one?
The thing is that like, let's face it, you know, everybody is an expert in a certain field. So while you're an expert maybe in supplements, somebody else is expert, I don't know, in food. Mm-hmm. So sometimes people that are purchasing food or purchasing supplements, they really don't know the ingredients.
Correct.
It's not because they're stupid; they just don't know. They're not knowledgeable. But they coming to you. They coming to you for advice, you know, and they saying, you know, I want the best product that you can sell me. Money is not an object. You're gonna show them that, you know, and I've seen your work. I've seen your work, how you work, and I actually use it as an example. I think everybody should be doing the same. I've seen when people come to your store and you're telling them like, you know, this is this good and it costs this much. If you want something a little bit less, well, this product is good. It's not as good, but it costs a little bit cheaper.
And it breaks down why.
And it breaks down why. But that's the way it should be. Mm-hmm. You know, you can go to a car dealership. Mercedes is not going to cost like Kia. You know, they both will get you to a final destination. Mm-hmm. They will both get you to the same place. But it's still different.
It's different,
and the price is different. And it's your job, because, you know, I'm not one of those guys who's going to claim that I know everything about cars, because I don't. You know, I know the Mercedes is better. That's the bottom line. Mm-hmm. But, you know, when it comes to cylinders and performance and horsepower and all that, I'm not one of those guys like, oh, of course, I'm a man. I know everything. I don't. But I'm not also stupid. I'm fairly intelligent. So if I come to your dealership, can you please explain to me why I'm paying for Mercedes fucking 5 times more than for Kia?
Right.
And if I have the money and you convince me, I'll buy it. Mm-hmm. I always have an option to buy a Kia. But it's your job to explain. And I think that's the problem. The problem is, and I think that athletes, even though they're getting paid, even though if you notice, less and less athletes are getting paid these
Correct.
days to promote supplement brands. Why? Because they are jumping ship. Why?
Yes.
Because they're just, well, number one, there is no loyalty. There is zero loyalty. It's all about the money. You know, and again, I understand they have to provide for their families, and I understand they have to make a living and pay their bills.
Yeah.
Understood. But you know what? We were talking actually to 2 athletes recently, and again, just a conversation of a possible collaboration in the future or something like that. Nothing specific. And I was very impressed with both of them. Both very, very impressed. They both said the same thing to me. Clearly, they were not super knowledgeable on ingredients, which they don't have to be. But they like heard a lot of good things about the brand, blah, 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 blah. Can you send me the product so I can test it out, so I know what I'm putting my name next to? And I have utmost respect for that. That scored major points for me.
Yeah.
Major points, you know. Don't tell me that this shit tastes good and this shit tastes bad. It's not about that. You know, make sure that you're not fucking up your credibility. Make sure you're not fucking up your reputation.
Yeah.
Because, you know, somebody pointed out, and look, Phil Heath is 8-time Mr. Olymp. 7 actually. He's not 8 yet.
I think he might grab it.
He might be 8. I mean, good luck to him. But the thing is like Phil Heath, and this is a perfect example, and I can say it out loud because it's documented. It is true. Phil Heath was with Muscle Tech.
Correct.
If you remember the ads, whether he was writing them or not, he still approved them because his name is there. Mm-hmm. Best supplements on the market. The only thing I've ever used. Boom. Mm-hmm. Then he switched to Gifted Nutrition, his brand, his company, best on the market, blah, blah, blah. I mean, we're not going to get into the supplement facts because we know the truth, but doesn't matter. Best supplements on the market, the only thing formulated by me, blah, blah, blah. Phil Heath is fired from Gifted Nutrition. Like, how can you get fired from Aris Nutrition? Aren't you the owner?
That's weird.
Yeah, that's weird, you know. Somebody's gonna fire me from Apollon tomorrow.
That's weird.
So he got fired from Gifted Nutrition, clearly indicating that it's not his brand. He was a paid athlete who misinformed the public,
and they used his name.
And they used his name.
The
so
gifted aspect.
there is some fat fuck who is sitting behind writing the check to Phil Heath to lie. I mean, that's what it is. Because like, let's call it for what it is. It's a lie.
So even though he's fired, they're still using his picture.
It was never his company, you know. So he never formulated anything or anything like that. So boom, fired. Then Phil Heath is hired by Ultimate Nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
So Ultimate Nutrition is paying him shitload of money. Then there was a problem, they fired him. But on ads, also Ultimate Nutrition, Phil Heath said that that's the only company I've ever used, the best products in the market. Well, they fired him. Not only that, they fired Dexter Jackson too. They paid both of them shitload of money. They also sponsored the Olympia for like 3 or 4 years, which is also shitload of money. But guess what happened to Ultimate Nutrition?
They're out of business.
They're out of business. Mm-hmm. So you have 2 Mr. Olympia on your roster. You sponsoring the biggest contest in bodybuilding, and yet you're out of business. Clearly, that investment did not bring anything back, because those guys were doing it just for the paycheck and nothing else.
Yeah.
You know, and sponsoring the Olympia clearly didn't bring shit either.
Yeah.
So, you know, the credibility, you know, you can have 10 Mr. Olympias representing your brand. That will not guarantee that your brand will do well. You have a few brands that don't even have an athlete, and they're still doing well. You know, whether they have a good influencer from social media, or they just have a good brand, good word of mouth, great marketing, or whatever the case is, they don't invest as much in athletes as they used to be. Back in the day, an athlete used to just, you know, I'm an athlete, more, yeah. Boom, here's a check for you. You know, and plus the market is saturated.
I think that one year when Phil won his the Olympia, Muscle Tech gave him a bonus and even matched the prize. So he basically made like $250,000.
Well,
just for winning.
Here's the thing, Mr. Olympia, every winner of the Mr. Olympia contest always had a supplement sponsor.
Correct.
Except Phil Heath. Phil Heath, the last 1 or 2 Olympias that he won, he was not sponsored, and he didn't have, which he allegedly now he has another company that he owns that I don't see anywhere. Mm-hmm. But for the past 1 or 2 of his wins, he was not sponsored by anyone. That just shows you so many big companies, GAT, and I don't know what else. There is Evogen, Evogen, which by the way owned by his coach. Nobody sponsored him. Yeah. Nobody sponsored him. That just goes to show, you know, you own a supplement store. What the fuck is Phil Heath line? It doesn't. You don't have it. No. You don't carry a line by soon possibly to be 8-time Mr. Olympia, who's currently competing.
He'll probably be with Redcon by the time we're done. I mean, they're literally buying. They're buying everybody.
He's going to get fired by his own company again.
Probably.
Yeah. You don't have Kai Green's company. You know, you don't have any of those. And the reason is, I'm not saying because they bad or don't deserve to be carried by you, but there is simple supply and demand, or demand and supply. In this case, there is no demand, because people already understand very well, majority of people understand, that for a paycheck, most of athletes will say anything. Yeah. And I'm very, very careful right now when I'm saying most, because not everybody is the same. You know, I can use a few examples of athletes who are doing a phenomenal job of promoting brands, you know, like Arash Rabar does a phenomenal job when it comes to Dymatize. Yeah. He's involved, he's posting, he's doing recipes.
He talks about it.
He talks about it. He really does a great job. So, you know, to say that they all suck would be a little bit irresponsible.
There's a few of them left that actually truly support the brand, which in turn the brand takes care of them, versus the ones that are just being paid to talk about the brand and so forth. So there's the athletes, in my opinion, they don't do what they used to. Like in the 90s and early 2000s, when it was still in magazines, that was different. You saw the athlete with the product. And because I remember even me, like I would want to try out like a pre-workout or something that I seen in a magazine, because I seen the athlete next to it. Now it doesn't really, like, there's very few couple ones, and the even one that's huge right now, like let's just say Seth, for example. He's huge right now. He doesn't even compete,
He doesn't have to.
and he won't ever compete again. So being on stage isn't as necessary as it used to be before. It's more to, I think it more represents to who you are. So, okay, and then before it was just you're on stage, you don't even have to talk, you just lift some weights. Cool. Now it's, we don't give a shit if you want on stage. What's your message? You know, what are you bringing? What are you representing? Like Rich Piana, right? He wasn't a competitor. He did some shows, but he wasn't like a real
He
competitor.
didn't even turn pro.
Yeah, but what he represented, how he hit a target of people, it's what made the brand. It had nothing to do with stage. So I think that's the big difference now too compared to before. Because in the 90s it was just like you got to be on stage, you got to be like top notch. You don't even have to talk. Now it's like no, you have to be pretty intelligent, have some kind of message, to kind of hit a group of people.
Well, there is this girl. She lives actually in Ukraine. Forgot her name. Abir Kabayev, something like that. I forgot. She's sexy. She's very popular on social media. She has millions of followers, and she's sponsored by Dragon Pharma.
Okay. Dude, they have everybody.
Have everybody.
Dragon Pharma, man, but their athletes, like, when I see their athletes, I'm like, who the hell is this? And they're all from either Europe or South America,
But the
Middle
thing
East.
is like, this particular girl, like, I'll send you a link to her profile on Instagram. She has millions of followers. As far as I can tell, she has never competed. I don't think she's ever competed. She's like literally an internet influencer.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they're paying her a lot of money. And I know also that she brings a lot of sales, like tons and tons and tons of sales. She has that reach.
What's her name?
I think Nabir something.
Is she the one with the huge monster legs?
Yes,
and then she wears the black contacts?
Yes, correct.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, she blew up like crazy.
She blew up, and she never competed.
Nope.
So
And she never will.
and she doesn't need to. Mm-hmm. And in Ukraine, whatever she's making, $5,000 or $10,000, I think she's making crazy money.
Mm-hmm.
It goes a long way. But my point is that, I don't know if Dragon Pharma is very successful or not. I mean, I know they're doing great in Europe.
I think with Dragon Pharma, so I think Dragon Pharma is linked directly to a pharmacy line. So when I kind of dug around and talked to some people, so some of these companies, especially outside of America, they're a side company
Like
for somebody.
Amfit.
They're a side company from a billionaire or a millionaire that wants to do something on the side. So Dragon Pharma is the main owner, something to do with pharmaceuticals, basically, has his brand. So he buys all these athletes. So even if he breaks even with the brand, it's like his little baby. Kind of like the guy who owns the Oxygen Gym in Dubai. He's,
Like a little toy.
yeah, billionaire, and he just made his little toy. And
Well, that's the thing. Like, for a smaller brand right now, like Apollon, like Glaxon is still a smaller brand. They're growing. You have Action Sledge, still smaller brand, but they grew up pretty substantially. So the smaller brand, anything, I don't mean like, again, GAT or Evogen or Muscle Tech, like just the smaller private brands that have one or two or three owners. So those guys, when they start, most of the time they don't even have protein because they're starting so small. Yeah. And for them to go out and get a good, I guess, pro will be, say, just arguably $5,000 a month. Mm-hmm. So you're paying somebody $5,000 a month. Now you have to provide them also with clothes.
Yeah.
Now, good quality clothes cost money. So he has to obviously, represent you. Then you have to provide them with product. Yep. Again, if it's a good product, it's not cheap. Yep. It's not a $3 pre-workout. It's expensive. So now you're providing all that. So that athlete costs you not $5,000, but say $6,000. Mm-hmm. Then you have to also compensate him when he travels somewhere, and then you have to pay, I don't know, for his
shows and stuff.
And stuff like that. So he has not a $5,000, but he has, say, $7,000 a month package. So $7,000 a month just to justify his salary, and I mean just to justify that salary. Arguably, you have to sell, because specifically of that athlete, probably double it. I don't know, $15,000? $15,000 just to justify his salary. So now you have to sell 15,000 because of him to pay his salary. Okay, so it doesn't come out of your pocket. At least he's bringing enough to cover your salary, but it's really not enough. Every employer wants an employee that is bringing revenue to the company, not to pay for his own salary, because that's ridiculous. So if your athlete needs $15,000 to be covered, I mean, safe to say that would be nice if the company makes at least double or triple that. So we're talking about $50,000 a month. We're talking at least $500,000 a year. A $5,000 athlete a month, you would need to sell probably about $500,000 a year of product just to justify him being part of the team, and that you're actually making money, that you're benefiting from having him on a team. Now that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money just to cover 5,000. What about those athletes that want 10 grand and 15 grand? So I think the companies got smarter. If we're talking about bodybuilding world, in bodybuilding you have a lot of athletes, NPC athletes, who look very good. They look very good. They can represent your brand, and they will be very happy if you can provide them with a photo shoot or a video shoot, some publicity, booth work, and stuff like that. And they will do it for free, and they will be more loyal to you, actually. They will work also harder. So as a businessman, you're making a lot better decision helping those guys, and they will be helping you, because now all of a sudden, you don't have a top IFBB pro who is a cocky prick, and and he thinks that he's a prima donna, even though he walks into a mall and nobody knows who the fuck he is. I know. But he's acting like a diva. You can get that. There is no need for you to, and I think companies realize that there is no need to overspend, especially when the market is so competitive. You can put those $5,000-$10,000 a month into social media and really grow your company. Or unless you have somebody like Seth Ferozzi, who is not even a competitor, because he's not. He retired. Or you can have somebody, if we're talking about, again, Arash. Arash he comes from an immigrant family. He works hard. He promotes. Then I don't know whatever he's getting paid, but it's justified.
And I like how he promotes too, because whenever you see any of his videos, he'll promote to the Americans, and he'll promote
to the Iranians.
To Iranians. He'll literally run it in American, and he'll run it in Iranian.
Well, think about it. Even when it comes to, like, lately we've been posting a lot because we got into Russia, we got into Ukraine, and we've been posting a lot for in Russian. Why? Because apart from the fact that Russia is in Russia, but we also have a lot of Russian-speaking people here, and that's our market. Greenpoint, Brooklyn, heavy Polish community. You speak Polish. Why can't you promote your and you shipping to? I'm pretty sure that some of them would love to support you. I'm giving you an idea, no?
That is a good idea. I'm writing this down right now, actually, in my head.
I mean, you can promote in Polish. You're bilingual. You can definitely promote to that community. They will be, like you have T-shirts, support local. Well, support your own people. Why not? I'm charging you for this.
Only if there's a profit at the end. All right, so we're just gonna write this down. And I'll spin it around to turn it into my own idea. But no, it's true. It's a shame, man, because the industry changes all the time. I mean, not just with athletes. I mean, it's just your regular non-pro athletes too. I think I talked about this before. A lot of people downgrade their worth, and other people over-exaggerate their worth. Like
100%.
You did one show. Why are you over-exaggerating yourself that you're more than ever? Or why are you literally, reaching out to every Joe Schmo for some kind of sponsorship? They're giving you a free T-shirt, and you're promoting them like there's no tomorrow. I see it all the time on social media where it's like, look, man, you just look like you started the gym last week. Why would I buy that? Like, if anything, the product you're promoting, I will definitely stay away from, because there's no way that product, like, if that really is what you're taking and this is what you look like, I'm sorry, that's a problem. Okay.
Agreed.
And then number two, if the brand is so eager to have them promote you, they're having everybody promote. They don't care. They're trying to make a quick buck. I seen that with the company Insane Labs. Like, Jesus Christ! Like, you had regular, Joe Schmoes giving away 40% codes. What the fuck is 40% code? You might as well just be like, hey, just take this stuff for free. Jesus Christ, like how much does the product have to cost?
I think you just answered that question.
Like, wow, man. And then you're telling me, yeah, I'm gonna stock up on that. Like I was at the gym not too long ago, and the guy started talking to me. He's like, yeah, I seen your store, da da da. And I'm like, cool, man, you can check it out one day. He's like, yeah, and he actually brought up the same apps. He's like, yeah, they had a huge promotion. He mentioned like fucking 7 items, and he's like, yeah, I paid 120. I'm like, that's cool, bro. Like you paid for nothing. Well, what do you mean? I was like, look, dude, I gotta work out, but like if I had 15 minutes right now and you showed me the product, you would really be angry right now what you bought. Yeah, but I really feel it. I'm like, okay, because it's probably the only thing you're taking. I can feel coffee. Like you give me a cup of coffee, I'll feel it, right? And that's probably the best thing I ever felt because I don't tried anything else. But once you actually try something good, you're like, what the fuck? So yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough, and then you always like everybody thinks. Like a lot of people think their competitor is the same person in their category what they do. When at the end of the day, the biggest competitor is the biggest corporation in the whole fucking America, Amazon. That is the biggest competitor. Like I've had, oh my God, the questions I've had. So in Amazon, you could sell anything. You could sell fucking crap inside a bag, paint it as gold, and just write reviews that it's gold and people will buy it. Not too long ago, I had somebody, a customer, ask me for advice because they know I break down stuff, and they asked me, what do you think about this product? And I was waiting to see if he's actually just gonna listen. If you're gonna message me and ask me an idea of a product, but if you're gonna tell me you're thinking of buying it, but you want my advice, dude, you want me to give you advice to buy something off somebody else. Okay, but if you're actually coming for me for advice, you're not disrespecting me. Like, hey, listen, what do you have that you can carry that's better than this and so forth? But anyway, make a long story, she sends me this product. Dude, first it's $70. Okay, it's a fat burner. All right. So right away, I'm like, before you even send me the ingredients, dude, it's overpriced. Like I'm telling you right now, like, fuck no, don't buy it. I was like, but just to humor me, send me the ingredients, Rob. They had fucking aminos in it and glutamine. And then it was blends, 4 different blends.
Of course.
The one, the fat burning thermogenic blend was 750 milligrams, and it had L-carnitine in there. Had L-carnitine.
Which you need at least a gram or two minimum.
Right, L-carnitine and dandelion root. I told him, I was like, dude, like you just need 1,000 milligrams alone of L-carnitine, but that's the shit. So like, if I wasn't there, like if I wasn't his avenue to give him advice, he would probably buy that for $70 fucking.
Yeah.
And there's literally nothing in there, and all because Amazon has whatever reviews on there. It popped up, so it's Amazon fucking sucks. Like it's Amazon. Like before Amazon, Walmart would put people out of business, right? Walmart would plop. Walmart would end up putting a lot of people out of business because it was a central location for everything. And dude, Walmart works off such low margins. Like when I used to work for Coca-Cola, their margins go from, their big money makers are electronics, tools, all these things. They have a mixed margin blend. They don't run like, let's say, they don't go, hey, I got to make 20% across everything in a store. They go, they have a mixed margin.
So they're more flexible.
Yes, a mixed margin. In the soda category, because when I worked for Coca-Cola, so when I used to deal with the district managers and so forth, margins and all that, like they had an exclusive to carry 24-pack soda. Everybody else, supermarkets carry 20 packs, okay? The margin that they were making per sales was either 0 or negative 1%. So every one they bought, they would sell for the exact price and make 0 or lose 1%. Right? The 12 packs, 2 liters, it was under 5% margin. Their number one product for soda was like the convenience packages, which was roughly 10 to 15. Now, when you went in outside of soda and you went into kind of like teas and stuff, their margins went up to 20. So they were working off pennies and making billions because of the turnover. So now with Amazon, the more warehouses they plop, like they're about to plop a warehouse not too far from here, their shipping gets crazy, and then they could just flip stuff around. But what ends up happening is yes, it's extremely convenient for a consumer. Like I'm a consumer, I'm busy, my life is busy, boom, 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 bring it on my place, right? But you're buying uneducated. You're still going to be an uneducated consumer. That's why, like I always talk about the experiences. Yes, a customer can always buy stuff from Amazon, right? Great, I'm just a supplement store, right? Well, an Amazon or a supermarket or even a convenient or even a corporate store will never ever be able to have you walk out from the purchase and be extremely confident and knowledgeable that what you bought is exactly going to do what you bought.
I have a perfect example for that. So I have a very good friend of mine. He's a member of Apollon, super nice guy. I've known him for years, even before I owned Apollon. So he buys our products, loves our products and everything. Super nice guy. And he's been using Chaos. Fat burner, loves it, sweats on it, swears by it. I mean, it's a fucking great formula. So he goes to me, I want to make it more intense. And I'm like, I don't think you can make it more intense. I'm like, I mean, pretty much, I don't think anything can top this. He goes to me, no, that's not what I mean. Like, I would like to stack it with something. So he goes to me, my friend in the office told me that there's this product that is absolutely phenomenal and would be good to stack with Chaos. I'm like, the only thing good to stack with Chaos is probably ephedrine.
Right, you need stimulants.
Yeah,
it's stimulants. That's the only angle you can go.
There's nothing else. But I'm like, okay. I mean, I think that I left nothing in there. I mean, it pretty much stacked. He goes to me, can I send it to you? He goes to me, it's a little pricey. It's like $70. I'm like, whoa. I said, it's more expensive than Chaos, and Chaos is stacked. Wow. I said to him, whoa. I said, okay. I said, no problem. So he sends it to me. It's from Amazon. One ingredient, South African hoodie.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's like a fucking 5-star rating or whatever, like it's the best. But the bottom line is that it's uneducated consumer because a friend of a friend of a friend said that it's miracle, it's good. $70 for South African hoodie. I mean, like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And this brings me back to the whole bodybuilding, lifting, supplement community. The days where supplements were specifically for bodybuilders are over. You don't need a bodybuilder to represent the brand.
Correct.
It's completely. I mean, you could benefit probably from a good bodybuilder, not even so much as a good bodybuilder, as a good speaker, influencer,
yes.
Somebody who can explain the product, because most people are changing. People want an explanation. You can benefit more from diverse athletes. There are fighters, they're using supplements. CrossFitters, bodybuilders don't respect CrossFitters, even though CrossFitters are way more athletic than bodybuilders.
They are, but I prefer to keep my joints alive.
Yeah,
even though I can't fucking run.
But it's a huge market. It's a huge market.
Yeah.
So you have a huge market. Then you have powerlifters, track and field, football, soccer. I mean, it doesn't end. Dancers, everybody can benefit from good supplements. So better off than having one bodybuilder who you're paying top dollar who doesn't produce. You better having like a lot of people from different sports who can, appeal to different markets. That's more important. Or if we are talking about bodybuilding, I talked about Rosh Rabar. Like, I really like what he does with Diamatize. He's a good-looking guy who has a very nice physique, because he's not a mass monster.
He's so well-spoken.
He's so well-spoken. So that's like an ideal bodybuilder that, that is good to promote. But then we can go somewhere else and like take somebody who is also a pro bodybuilder, not as successful as a competitive pro bodybuilder, but he's brilliant, and that's John Meadows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is he so? I mean, he has his own brand, but why is he so good? He's good because of his knowledge, because of his mind, because how intelligent he is. He can break down each and every ingredient. So when you look in John Meadows, even though he's from a bodybuilding community, he's way, way more than that. Way more. He can have an intelligent conversation with just about anyone and explain to them the difference, in different supplements. He's not going to sell you South African hoodie. And like I said, I have utmost respect for him. But it just goes to show how much, the supplement industry evolved. Yet, some people think like, well, you know what, I'm a pro bodybuilder, 5 times top 10 at the Olympia. Who gives a shit?
Right.
Nobody gives a shit about that. You know, not only that, don't forget that some bodybuilders can actually turn away a potential consumer.
Correct.
Why? Because I had a conversation with a certain pro bodybuilder who we kind of almost, and he was a mass monster, huge, 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 huge. And I was thrilled to have him to represent the company because I didn't know any better. But then when I got a little bit more into it, 2 or 3 years later, our path crossed again, and he was like, "Oh, I want to fucking represent Apollon now." Now he was jumping on board. I'm like, "I'm not interested."
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm not interested is because, you know, if you saying, and you've been with a few brands, and you're huge, if you're saying, "Oh, you know what? He is using this product, and this is the reason why he's so big," you know, people that are knowledgeable, they understand that there's a little bit more than just over-the-counter supplements when it comes to that size. They're gonna go like, "What the fuck are you talking about? You know what? It's complete bullshit." And then you have the other spectrum of people that don't know anything about the sports technology, so to speak. They're gonna go like, "Hold on a second. So if I'm taking your product, I'm gonna look like that. Well, I don't want to look like that."
And that goes back to the just keeping it honest. Like a lot of the current guys, or even if you go back to Rich Piana. So Rich Piana, he would tell you straight out he takes drugs. He
And it worked.
Yeah,
It worked because people were buying the product because of his personality. You know what? I met him first time in Germany at FIBO, and we had a conversation for a good we've never talked before in my life. It just somehow we crossed paths and we got to talk. And I just started Apollon Nutrition, so I was like, the guy who I assumed that he was a dick. That's what I thought until I talked to him. While we had a conversation, number one, he made you feel like you were family, like you were his best friend. Makes you feel very comfortable. Then on top of it, he's actually very soft-spoken. He was very, very down to earth, very, very nice, and he was super straightforward. Whether it's about drugs or training or whatever, he was just very, very straightforward. And at the same time, I actually came across, because he trained at Apollon once when he was with Optimum Nutrition, I don't even remember, Marcus Rule. So Marcus Rule was training at Apollon, and we talked and everything was great. That was back when he was still competing. So when I went to FIBO, I met him with him again. And we talked, and like I said, Apollon was just getting started, and he just, his contract was about to be done with the German company, All Star or some shit like that. And he goes to me, he says like, "Why don't we connect? Maybe we can talk." I was like, "I don't think we can afford you because he's such a big name in Europe." He goes, no, let's definitely talk. And we exchanged numbers and everything. So I reached out to him. I was like, you know, maybe it's worth investing. You know, we have connections with Europe. Yeah. Why not? You know what? It never hurts to talk. I reached out to him, no answer. Like, okay, you know, I'll try again. Try it again. No answer. Like, okay, you know, it is what it is. And then maybe 6 months later, or I think a year later, he resigned with that company. It was a year later. He resigned with them, and I guess then the contract was up a year later. I guess it was just 1 year extension. Guess what? Marcus Rule reaches out to me. You know, "Oh, bro, let's talk. How you been?
How convenient.
Let's talk about." Okay, you think we're gonna talk? Well, do you know what I did? I don't reply to him. You know, and I was like, you know what? You stay professional. Stay. And it's not a knock on him, because I still think that Marcus Rule is a great guy. We interacted at Apollon, and I have nothing but good things to say about him. But just that, you know, lack of professionalism and that approach showed me that the only thing that you were interested in is money. And when you signed with somebody else, you decided like, well, fuck you, I'm not talking to you.
Right.
Okay, well, now fuck you, because I'm not talking to you either. You know, because you were very, very unprofessional. You know, stay professional, stay classy, because you never know what's going to happen.
Don't burn your bridges.
You know, don't burn bridges. And I think that a lot of people are doing just that. They burning bridges. You know, if you and I cannot do business, if we cannot agree on something, let's shake hands, maybe in the future, but keep the doors open. You know, there is no need, you know, to kind of end the relationship on bad blood or something like that, or being unprofessional. Because if you're not professional today, I know that you're not going to be professional tomorrow either. Yeah. So it's very, very important, like, to stick to it. And you just, you know, athletes want respect. Well, guess what? Companies, stores, they want respect too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's I think that's what's lacking. That respect, that professionalism is definitely lacking today, and the understanding that, you know what, the supplement industry blew up so much. It's an insane industry, oversaturated industry,
Yeah.
and you know what? If they're not going to sign you, they're going to sign somebody else.
Correct.
There's so many athletes that are dying to be signed for no money, just to be affiliated with somebody. You know, so there is no need to be so unprofessional and like you said, burn bridges.
Yeah. No, I agree. So, what else do we have here, Rob? 'Cause we could be here for days a little bit here. So, okay. So you have the Hooligan coming in like a week, 2 weeks, which I'm actually looking very forward to that for the consumers. I'm a very nootropic person, so I'm looking forward to your new bare knuckle. Like I can't wait for that bad boy to
Asshole
come
just
out.
gave it away. I never said that it's going to be nootropic. I just told him. You can't fucking trust him. Yeah.
Well, I'm
Cut.
all right. Well, bare knuckle is mainly the pump formula. It will have the touches in there.
Too late.
Sorry, but I'm
It's
looking.
cool, it's
I'm
cool,
looking
but-
forward to that. I'm definitely looking forward to the powder of overtime.
I'm leaving.
I'm definitely looking forward to that one big time. I'm a huge
Thank you,
nootropic
Patrick.
fan. I think a lot of the industry. So
Actually, you know what? I'm sorry for interrupting you. Like on a serious note, I gotta thank you because not many people know, and I think it's very, very important for your followers, for your customers to know that I actually pick your brain quite a bit. And you know, I'm never shy to say that. You know, I'm not one of those guys who's always going to say me, because that's not how I work. But very often, before we release a new flavor or something like that, I'll stop by your store and let you try it. As somebody who owns a supplement store and somebody who I respect, but you're always giving me a feedback if I need to test a flavor, you know, if a certain product works or doesn't work or could be improved or repositioned. I actually turn to you for advice, and you know me, I don't turn to many people for advice.
That's true.
So, you know, yes, Hooligan Bare Knuckle indeed will be improved to not just pump but focus, because I think that two things that were missing from Hooligan Bare Knuckle, and being transparent and honest, I really do think, I know that as a pump formula that was second to none on the market. Absolutely second to none. But there were two issues with it. Number one, and I take that responsibility, was lack of focus. You know, a pump formula, or let's call it a non-stim pre-workout, should be just like our Hooligan minus the stims. You know, so I think the fact that we're going to have Hooligan Bare Knuckle that now is going to have not only pump but more pump, but also going to have the focus ingredients that actually work.
Yeah.
I think it's going to make it a more complete formula. So, you know, I thank you for advice because, you know, I listened. And another thing is because of being, you know, having glycerol in it, obviously it clumped just like every glycerol product. But I would admit that ours clumped a little bit more than others.
Yeah.
Again, there were minimum amount of complaints because people that buy Apollon, they know what they pay for, and they know that they, you know, the type of product that they buy, they know the formula. So there were minimal complaints, but nevertheless, it was clumping pretty bad. So, you know, I'm happy that we were able to improve on the clumping as well. And the new bare knuckle is, I'm not going to say eliminated the problem, because I don't think you can eliminate that problem, but it definitely softened the blow so much, so to speak, and it's definitely not even nearly as clumpy as it used to be. So we were able to fix two things. And in terms of overtime being in a powder form, that was also your idea. And that product is extremely popular for us. And I think giving an option of having something like overtime in a powder form and maybe slightly, now I'm giving it away, slightly.
Listen, that was my suggestion too.
Yeah, that, true. You know, and making it slightly more aggressive, I think that it opens the door, like where we are not, because you saw the formula already. It's not like we are cutting corners or anything like that. It's just slightly different. Like you have Hooligan and Hooligan Bare Knuckle, you're going to have overtime, and just like overtime, but a slightly different product that's going to appeal now to people that want the aggressive and slightly less aggressive. Like it's not going to be a stim free or anything like that, because I do believe that the focus and energy ingredients work together beautifully. And just maybe for some people, overtime, although it can be adjusted with like the number of pills that you take, the powder form extremely challenging to flavor. You fucking made
Yeah.
my life miserable with that. But the thing is that yeah, I mean, it's definitely in the works.
Yeah. So definitely, I'm a huge fan of nootropics. I think what I've noticed in the industry, what's happening is the stimulants are still definitely something people are looking for.
Absolutely.
But it's a definitely change. The individuals who just start the gym right away, they're grabbing the cheapest stimulant they possibly can before they realize, they need to upgrade to something better before their adrenaline glands kind of give out. Powerlifters, strongmen, they need the stim, but they need raw power. They need actual real stimulant products that actually are long lasting. Like Hooligan is by far the perfect product. If you're a strongman or powerlifter, you should be on
It works
Hooligan.
for both, yeah.
Like you should definitely be on Hooligan. But there's a huge demand now more as people get a little bit more into, as they get deeper into training, they're noticing that they want that focus, the zoning out. Which at the same time, it's like, it's kind of funny, man, because I don't know, when I hit all these gyms, the more corporate gyms I hit, like, because now I've been hitting a lot of corporate gyms in PA because, it's illegal to work out in Jersey or have dinner inside a restaurant unless I decide to loot it. It's illegal, so I have to go to PA, which is like, going into another country for vacation to eat dinner or work out. So I'm noticing there's a lot more corporate gyms and there's a lot more I don't want to use the word fuckboy, but I want to say Instagram wannabe. Just started out the gym. I'm recording everything I possibly can. But I did notice in general, though, there is a higher demand for the nootropic effect.
Yes.
But the problem with that is, okay, nootropics are amazing. And this is what I was trying to explain to people is nootropics are great. You're going to focus like crazy. As long as you don't pick up your stupid phone or talk to anybody in the gym. Because if you pick up your phone while you're on a nootropic, you're going to be on that fucking phone 3 times longer because now you're zoning into the phone. And that's where I was kind of going to where, it's a very huge different crowd in the gym, man. Your hardcore trainer, or, your hardcore working out people, man, they are just zone the fuck out. They're nootropics, man. They are like in another level. And then you have that, the other idea where maybe they should just be on stimulants, so that way they're not forced sitting on a phone the whole entire time recording their.
You know what? Somebody actually suggested. I think it was like yesterday, or somebody brought it up. I don't remember who it was, about actually not allowing phones on a gym floor. I mean, I understand that, people want to take selfies and stuff like that. The selfies are not as much of a problem because, you take a phone, boom, and it's done. So it's not an issue. However, if you think about it, like walking inside the gym, being on a phone, and especially, there are those who are very, very loud. Mm-hmm. I think it can be distracting to people that work out. I think it's also rude in a way. You want to be on a phone, you can be. Go to a locker room, step outside the gym, but the thing is to be on the phone in the gym, I think that can definitely, like I said, I'm on the fence with it because it's a free country. You should be able to do whatever the fuck you want, but there is such thing as a gym etiquette, and
I
you
think,
kind of have to obey by it.
I think there are restrictions when you're on a machine. So I'll give you
Yeah, because people stuck there, they have a conversation, all of a sudden there's like 5-10 minutes.
And it's not even conversations. Now it's scrolling through social media.
Yeah.
So again, I'm gonna go back to the corporate gyms, and I'm a very calm person.
Yeah,
I'm a lot different than what I used to be.
You're not easy to piss off.
It takes a lot. I learned that a long time ago through a lot of different shit instances. So, in a corporate gym, so I'm going, like, for example, like, wasn't too long ago, I was going to do the leg extensions, and there's a kid on it. He's playing on his phone. So I'm like, look, dude, you got a lot left, man. So I could jump in. He's like, I got, a lot left. That's cool. How many you got left, man? 3. Cool. I'll just sit here and wait. So I waited. He purposely played with his phone. It's cool. Like, I'm like, you know what? I got some extra free time. This ain't a big deal.
Yeah, I'm already pissed.
Yeah, I got some extra time, so it's not a big deal. It's my last workout. I got it. I'll finish it off. So finally gets up and walks away. And that right there is a fucking problem. Like, because, like, you're mad because I wanted to get on a machine, right? Well, if the rule was you can't use your phone while you're sitting in a fucking machine or on a bench, you know what I'm saying, and that was enforced, then it'd be a different, there'd be a different story. Because listen, if I said something and I'm like fucking 100 pounds heavier than him,
You come off as a bully.
I'd be the bully, right? But it was even better. There was a woman nearby, so she actually cursed him out. Cursed him out for not wiping the machine.
I don't know when we're going to reopen the gyms in New Jersey. I mean, obviously, I'm hoping that it's going to be soon, but we're changing it right now. Actually, Apollon completely. We operating out of Apollon because Apollon Nutrition is registered to the same address, so we are spending there every day. My thing is that we are right now repainting, moving machines, changing dumbbells, adjusting shit. I mean, there is like a whole process going right now of actually making Apollon even better than it used to be. And I'm actually ordering some machines also to the gym. So I'm redoing the gym. So when it's open, it's going to be a different experience. But the thing is also, I'm pretty sure that we're going to include a lot of new rules that are going to be enforced. And I think, just like the supplements that we make, I'm the first one to say, we are not making supplements for everybody. We're not making supplements for average Joe. We have our own niche market, and we're concentrating on that market. We're doing supplements for them.
Yeah.
The same thing is Apollon Gym is actually parallel to Apollon Nutrition. It's a very unique experience. It's a very unique gym for a specific crowd that want that type of environment. So I think that, having a situation like we don't turn on the AC when it's hot. We turn on the AC when it's humid and you can't breathe. Other than that, we can open the garage doors just like they have, the garage doors are open. It's like you're working out outside. And I think it's much, much more beneficial for you than an artificial cold. I tore my quad actually when I was training in those conditions.
Yeah, your average person hates that, man.
And then the average person, if he doesn't want to come for that specific experience, just like Apollon Nutrition, if they want to buy something like, Insane Labs or Salucor, I have nothing against it. Please feel free to buy those products. We're making something completely different. Apollon Gym is a completely different experience too. No AC when it's hot. No, AC is on when it's humid, when you have difficulty breathing. Redirecting the weights. You put your weights where they belong. If you don't, you get one warning. After that one warning, you're banned from the gym. That's it. Your membership is suspended. And I think, guess what? Like those rules, the same with the phone. I'm really contemplating making a rule where you cannot use the cell phone on a gym floor. You want to use the cell phone?
My opinion, for that part, I would do it if you're on the machine. Like, okay, us
on a machine.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that. We use our phone if we're standing or if we need to take a picture, right? Your average person that could hold up the machine for no reason
and having conversation should not be allowed.
Yeah, conversation or most of this scrolling.
Absolutely not allowed. I mean, those certain things, those small things. I even had a thing a couple of years ago where a bodybuilder, competitive NPC bodybuilder, was complaining about a skinny old man using his machine because he has a show to win, So the thing is like those things because that's bullying.
That is bullying.
We should like a hardcore gym or it should welcome everybody. Like I personally love it when I see women training at Apollon or a housewife or somebody in his 70s or 80s coming to the gym and using a treadmill or whatnot. I like it because that just shows that we welcome everybody, and it should be a very welcoming, non-intimidating environment. So I think those things need to change. I know they will change for us for sure. That's exactly the direction that I want to take the gym to. I don't want it to be an intimidating environment. Just like, walking into your store, I would say, it's owned by a bodybuilder. You're carrying products that are a little bit better than most other stores. You're not cheap fuck who's fucking buying $5 pre-workouts and selling them for $50 like I said earlier. You're actually spending money on bringing quality product. You have wide variety of products, and the thing is that because you're a bodybuilder and because you have a mean look, even though you're the nicest guy in the world, but at the same time, that's the beauty about it, is that actually you're well spoken. Your store is always immaculately clean, which I think that's the way it should be. Just because you're a bodybuilder with big biceps and you have selection of pre-workouts that are kick ass, and
Yeah.
does not mean that you should have a dirty store.
Right.
Does not you can, and people will appreciate it. You know, don't think of a hardcore crowd as a bunch of fucking pigs who live on the street, because it's not true.
Right.
You know, you come to Apollon, you will meet a lot of businessmen, you will meet a lot of doctors and lawyers and whatnot. It's a very mixed crowd. So you have to cater to them too, and you have to make sure that, you know, everybody is happy and everybody is satisfied with your service. But at the same time, I don't think you should be like, you know, like Planet Fitness or something like that, like to go out of your way. You know what? You want to be on the phone on the machine, stay on the phone.
Yeah, you can have a hardcore environment, and still have an average person who wants that hardcore environment and enjoy it without feeling like they're not wanted there.
Well, you know what? Chalk is not allowed at most of fitness centers. Most of the gyms don't allow it. And I can understand why, because it's fucking messy. We allow it. But you know what? Every time people would use chalk, well, not every time, but often, you would see chalk all over the floor. It's a mess, you know? And I don't think we should be providing you with a 5-star hotel service where you shit on our floor because you don't give a shit and we go and clean it up. No, you're going to clean it up. You know, and when you're done and you use chalk, I don't want to see that chalk on the floor. So you go, because you know what? I go train Muay Thai, or we go fucking into martial arts gym. We sweat and it's disgusting on the floor. You know what? After the session, one of us actually takes the mop and we clean, even though we pay the trainer, we pay the school, you know, but it's our work environment. Clean your work environment before you leave. So if you have chalk on the floor, clean your fucking chalk. Clean it and, you know, be responsible, because a small gym or a small store, it's like literally it's a small business. You know, we're not owned by a huge corporation who's just throwing money at us. You know, we don't get a budget for advertising. We do everything ourselves. You in your store 7 days a week. That's not easy, and you have a family. You know what? So you should be respected. And you know, when they say like customer is always right, fuck no. Customer is not always right. You know, that does not mean that they're gonna come, you know, and they take a protein bar, take a bite. Oh, I don't like this one. I'm gonna take that. Right. The only one who's allowed to do it is me. I take your protein bars.
You do. You're the protein outburst thief.
That reminds me.
You need some. You gotta stop by afterwards. But yeah, that's true, man. And but again, it's you know, it's the experience and everything, and that's, you know, listen, you've been doing it for a long time. You've always been respectful to people. Everybody that knows you, they respect you a lot. Even people that hate you, what can they hate you for? They can just hate you for you being you, but it's nothing bad. You're just a different person. So, and then at the end of the day, everybody can have conversations and so forth. And the people that can't, just like anything else, well, sorry, man, you can't have a conversation. And
listen, not everybody is meant to be friends. Not everybody, you know, it's almost like a relationship with a woman. You got to have certain chemistry and things in common. Like the reason why, you know, I deal, well, not so much actually right now, but I mean, I dealt with a lot of store owners, and you know, I always had a good relationship. But with you, we kind of hit it off. But it's not just because of business.
It was like, only because our birthday were the same.
Oh yeah, we share the same birthday. But the thing is like we talk about movies a lot.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about like different subjects and stuff. But it has to be with respect. Not always you meet people and you hit it off with them. But as long as you're respectful to each other, that's all that matters. You don't have to be friends.
I agree. So, everybody, we're extremely excited for everything that keeps coming forward from Apollon Nutrition.
Thank you.
I believed in the brand from the very first time I took it, man.
True.
And it was like early on, man. And when I seen it, I knew it was going to be a great brand, and I always supported it. And what I mean by always supporting it is, I was always excited to have people try it and speak about it. So to see it blossom the way it is, it means a lot. So I'm definitely looking forward to the future of
Thank you,
Apollon.
Patrick. Thank you for everything. Obviously, you know, continuous success to you, because, like I said, you grabbed us almost instantly when you just started. You gave us a chance while many didn't. You know, that I do. But the thing is that I'm grateful, and you know, I just hope that your brand, you know, Aris Nutrition, because you do such a phenomenal job, not just with your store, but also your T-shirts and apparel in general. I mean, like, it's literally, I think a lot of other stores could take a page from your book when it comes to customer service and how you're breaking down everything. And considering, you know, we're right now in a global pandemic where a lot of stores and a lot of brands are not doing so well, It's good to see that both our brands are doing pretty good. We keep actually growing, and I think that that's just testament to our hard work, dedication, and what we do. And I think the secret is to our continuous success is to stay the course and just make sure that we don't deviate from a plan. We don't need to be others. We just need to stay true to ourselves. But I want to thank you, like from the bottom of my heart, for everything that you have done for our brand, because with your posts on social media, with you believing in a brand, inviting us to the store, and treating us with utmost respect, it definitely helped us grow quite a bit, considering that, like I said, you were one of the very few who gave us that opportunity. And that's the reason why I cherish it so much, and I want to see Aries to continue growing and becoming even better, bigger, and more powerful than it is today. And I don't think that, I don't think you're even close to reaching your full potential.
There's always room.
Absolutely.
There's always room no matter what. So again, Rob, thank you so much.
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you for tuning in to episode 3. Guys, all the links will always be on all the social media pages. Always, look for that. Check out the brand. Any questions, you could always reach out to me. You could always reach out to Rob, Apollon, and so forth. Him, his team, they answer questions all the time. And again, guys, thanks for tuning in. Episode 3, Rob, Apollon.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, everyone.
Have a great day.